If you like everyone, you could always just show us your face. I know it's 6:30 p.m., probably sweaty, tired from work, maybe even stinking a little bit. Um, we all are, but it gives us energy when we see people's faces and we're able to interact. And I want to see if I blow anyone's mind tonight, just see their eyes light up like, what? Is that really how things work? So anyhow, um, we're about to get started in one more minute. We're live on Facebook, and there's a few people in the waiting room, right, John? There's says four. You'll let them in.
Yep.
Cool. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so we'll get started in 1 minute, 6:31 now. So John will take care of that. Welcome everyone. 6:30 p.m. Today's Thursday, and today is July 6th. Uh, we're very, very far from the beginning of the year. Time just flew by. It definitely flew by, and here we are. I think it's time for all of us to look at our goals and see where we're at. Definitely, that's what my team and I do every 6 months. Is we look at our goals, review them, and then we edit them, and we keep going. But today I'm very excited. This is one of my favorite workshops that we do here. It's called How to Play Monopoly in Real Life. And that's exactly what we're going to teach you today. First and foremost, we have our lovely co-host, John Gaxiola, today. And then it looks like Claudia, are you our co-host today too? Are you just hanging out, learning? Great. All right.
I'm just making sure you both do your job right.
All right, welcome, welcome. And then we also have a guest, Alfonso Delgadillo, here to answer any real estate loan questions that we may have, because some of the stuff that we're going to go over today, it's going to involve financing. And that's one big thing that everyone needs to be aware of, is that if you want to grow your money, if you want to grow your net worth, you need to be in a position to get loans. So that means that you're loanable or financeable. So welcome everyone. And again, feel free to show your face. It gives us a little bit of energy on this Thursday, 6:30 p.m. So let's get right into it. And by the way, guys, if you guys have any questions, John's a moderator. You guys could just reach out to him with a direct message, or you guys could raise your hand or unmute yourself. I want everyone to learn. And the way that we learn is by asking questions. You might not want to ask a question because you might feel that you should know that answer. But there's a lot of people, guarantee it, that don't know the answer to that. So feel free to ask, and then that way everybody learns. All right, cool. So let's get right into it. How to play Monopoly in real life. There's a few workshops that you should be aware of. If you like to scan your phone, turn on your camera, scan this little QR code, and you could get the calendar for the rest of the year. Tax benefits of owning real estate, home selling 101, budgeting your way to $1 million, ADUs for beginners, renting versus owning, and more. Plus all the workshops that we do, financial literacy for kids. That's going to be on the calendar. So scan that code, join us in the future. Leave us a review. This is a free class. So if it's free and we're not charging you anything, hook us up. That's how you can repay us. If you learned something today, go on our Google, go on our Zillow, find us online on our Yelp, and just leave us a review and just say what you got out of today's class. Whether you're a realtor, whether you're a lender, whether you're a normal person with a regular job, please leave us a review. All right. And then mention the realtor who introduced you to this workshop, right? So here's all the realtors that you probably got an invitation from. And if you want to grow your real estate portfolio after this workshop's done, reach out to your favorite real estate agent at Lepe Tendwell /EXP, and they could definitely help you grow your real estate wealth. All right, a little bit about myself. Born and raised here in San Diego, California, in the Logan Heights area, and I started real estate when I was in high school. I manage a real estate office here. There's about 29 sales associates. And I've helped hundreds of families throughout the years with their real estate. We taught financial literacy workshop, or we taught financial literacy to kids, many kids, hundreds of kids, giving a lot of money away. I became a millionaire at the age of 32. And right now I have 51 units across San Diego. So it says 50 here. Well, why? Because I just bought one on Friday. So we need to update this list, but I've done big deals and I've done small deals. That's a little bit about me. I'm in real estate. That's what I do. Today's workshop, how to play Monopoly in real life. Let's get into it. All right, so this is a text message, and this is why we're doing this workshop. This is a text between an estate planning attorney, okay, a trust attorney, who his only job is to help people preserve their wealth, okay? And one time I had a conversation with him, and he mentioned something. And he said that there's only two ways to become wealthy. And he says, number one, you have to either own a business, or number two, you own real estate. And how does he know? Well, because he manages people's trust. So when people pass away, he's the person who reviews what they left behind, how much wealth, how much net worth, how much money they left behind. This is his only job. And one time he told me something that kind of stuck with me. And he said, hey, Voltaire, there's only two ways to grow your wealth. You either own a business or you own real estate. So I texted him the next day and I said, hey, good morning. What's that thing you told me? That only two ways to become wealthy is owning a business or real estate? He says, correct. Unless you get lucky enough to win the lottery, marry rich, or inherit it. So those were the only ways that you could really get, become wealthy. So anyone who is on our call and is single, you still got a chance. Marry rich, all right? So that way you can guarantee that you're gonna be wealthy, all right? So with that being said, those are the only ways to become wealthy. And it makes sense, right? On the left-hand side, number one, own a business. Number two, own real estate. Number three, you inherit money. Or number four, you marry into money. And so think about that. Are you a business owner? Okay, if so, then you have a possibility of being wealthy. Do you own real estate? If you do, you have a possibility. If not, this is why you're on this workshop, right? So you could get to that point. All right, so now we're gonna watch a little video. Okay. Okay, so what is that, guys? That's my 51st unit that I just picked up. Okay, so that's a property that I own. It's 30 acres. I have 2 private lakes. There's fish in that lake, like you just saw. Who are all those people? There's like 20, 30 of us there. Those are all my family, my friends. And we get to use that on the house for free. And that's why one big reason that I've benefited from playing Monopoly in real life is that, hey, if I want a lake property like this one right here, I bought it, right? I bought it through playing Monopoly. And it's really cool because my friends and family and myself, we get to enjoy it. That's one big, huge benefit of owning real estate, is that you could buy any type of property. If you want, you could have family members live in there for very little or no rent at all if you like. Okay, and I do that for my family. I've done that for my friends. You're changing people's lives through real estate ownership. So that's one big reason why I do it, is in order to help family members enjoy themselves, right, through real estate, which is really cool. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is today's goals. I want you all to apply the following steps to your life and live the life of your dreams. So just like you saw in the little video of my nephew catching a bass in my lake, that's pretty cool. That's like living the life of my dreams with my family and friends. Number two, in the future, I want you guys to call, text, or DM me one day and say, hey, Voltaire, you know what? You helped me live a better life, or you're part of my journey some way, somehow. That's really cool because I have people like that in my life who have told me, hey, you know what? Because something that I learned from you, my life is a lot better. So that's the goal for me today, to make that connection with you guys in your lives. So here we go. How do you play Monopoly in real life? Well, this is the formula. Okay. First, I'm going to tell you give you some inspiration, right? And anyone could do this. I'm going to give you an example of a buddy of mine. He's a plumber. He did this on accident. And then we're going to go into how you build a team around you. Number three, I'm going to talk a little bit about finances. Number four, income. A lot of you guys think, a lot of people think that you have to be rich and you have to be making a lot of money in order to play Monopoly. That's not true. Number five, we're going to talk about mailbox money. Number six, I'm going to show you how I made my first million. Number seven, I'm going to show you how to identify a deal. And number eight, I'm going to talk about determining your number, right? If you want to be wealthy and, the main reason why most people want to play Monopoly in real life is because you want a certain dollar amount to hit your bank account every single month without you actually having to work for that money. We're going to talk about how comfort kills, and then we're going to get some advice from a centimillionaire that I know, and that's somebody whose net worth is over $100 million, which is pretty cool. All right. By the way, is our guest plumber, is he on the call right now? If he's not, I could give me 1 second. Actually, I'm trying to remember if I actually sent him the link. But I was talking to him earlier, updating this. So give me 1 quick second.
Want me to text him the link?
Please, the Zoom link, the direct Zoom link. That way it doesn't have to go through Eventbrite, please. And just shoot him a text, just say, hey, Voltaire's on, can jump on. He wanted to be here because the first time that he found out he was gonna be a millionaire was at one of my live workshops, and I used him as an example, and he didn't know, and his face was just like, he looked around the room, he's like, I'm gonna be a millionaire, and he was so happy, right? Because I ran the numbers for him, and it was pretty comedy. All right, cool. So my buddy, again, he's a plumber, right? He makes plumbing wages. He has a family. He got married. He had his kid. And one day he just says, hey, I don't want to rent anymore. I just need a house for my family. I need a yard for my kids. I need a garage for my stuff, his plumbing equipment and all that stuff. And so that was his motivation to own a home. It wasn't anything else. It wasn't, he never said, I want to be rich. I want cash flow. I want units. He never said any of that stuff. He just said, I have a family. I don't want to be renting. I just need a home for my family. Okay. So so this is his story. This is the first home he bought. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in the hood, right? If you know the zip code, that's the hood. 782 square feet, small little house. He bought it for $223. And he bought in 2013. And by the way, in 2013, it was when prices were going up. A lot of people were afraid because rock bottom prices that hit 2011, and people were saying in 2013 that prices were going to continue to drop. So they didn't want to buy. They wanted to wait for prices to drop some more. So he bought it, and guess what? He only put a 3.5% down payment, FHA financing. He put $7,805. Remember that number, write it down. If you're taking notes, write down $7,805, because that's what it took for him to start his real estate journey. In 2013, he bought it. And then 4 years later, his family grew. You know, he had more kids and he needed a bigger house. So what did he do? In 2017, he pulled money out because he says, hey, Voltaire, you know what? I have a 2-bedroom house. I need a 3-bedroom house. Should I buy a 3-bedroom? Yes. What do you think I should do? Should I sell my house? No, keep your house. Just refinance it, aka pull money from your house because you have equity. That way you could buy property number 2. So that's exactly what he did, playing Monopoly. He took out a mortgage against this property. He pulled out $50,000 cash and he bought property number 2, making his monthly payment on this first property in the hood $1,750 a month. Okay, and then he rented it out since he moved out, and he rented it out for $2,575. So the difference is $825 a month difference, which is pretty cool. And now he plans to convert the garage into an ADU, and that's going to bring in about $1,500 a month. So his monthly income is going to be about $4,000 a month between the house and the garage ADU, and his monthly payment is only $1,750. That's a great deal. Why? Because he only has $7,800 into this thing. So let's look at property number 2. So this is his property number 2. It's on Olvera Avenue, 92114. So that zip code might be a little bit better than 92113, right? Not too much better, but again, he's never thinking about, I want to buy in the best area. I want to buy for investment. He's not thinking that. All he's thinking is necessity. Hey, I can't live in a 2-bedroom anymore. I need a 3-bedroom. Okay. So he bought himself a 3-2 for $435. His down payment was $15,000. That's 3.5% down. He used FHA again. So where did he get this $15,000 from? Remember, he pulled out $50,000 from his first home. So he's into his second home with $0 out of his own pocket. So he purchased it in 2017. Again, in 2021, he refinanced. And his new payment is $2,450. The monthly rent is $2,950, which that rent's going to go up into the $3,000 soon. But on this one, the difference is $500 a month, which is really, really good. Okay, so he's renting that one out. And then same thing. He wanted to buy this house, Angeles Avenue. Why? Again, I want to reiterate, and I don't know if he's on yet. I don't think so, but I want to reiterate, this guy's not a real estate investor. He's buying out of necessity. So property number 1, out of necessity. Property number 2, out of necessity. Property number 3. Do you know what, can anyone guess why he bought property number 3? Anyone? This is a participation trophy time.
Family's growing.
Family growing. Good guess. No. He bought
wanted to
property
give it.
number. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
He
Go ahead,
wanted to give. He wanted to give his kids a little bit of luxury.
Okay, that's a good guess, but it's not. Guess what? He bought this one because his best friend lives across the street. And he was so excited. He was like, dude, Carlos lives across the street. And he was like telling me, he's like, what do you think, man? Should I buy it and this and that? And I'm thinking, like, in my head, like, I'm like, I don't know if that's why you should buy a house, you know, just because, you know, you like, but I knew buying real estate was a good thing. So I was like, sure, dude, if you want to live next to your best friend, fucking buy it. And that's what he did. At the same time, he went into a little bit better neighborhood, 91945, that's Lemon Grove. So he went from Logan to Encanto to Lemon Grove. So he's moving up the ladder. His down payment on this one, he had to go 5% down. $27,000. Where did he get that money? Well, if you remember, guys, property number 1, he got $50,000 out of it, and then he spent $15,000 for property number 2. That'll leave him with $35,000. That's enough to cover the down payment for property number 3. Okay, now we're getting into, now he's playing Monopoly. He didn't even know he's playing Monopoly. Okay, until he was sitting at one of my workshops in this same class, And when I broke down his situation and I broke down the numbers, and that's when his eyes just opened up and he's like, I had no clue. And then he ran home and he told his wife that they're going to be millionaires. So anyways, he purchased this one in 2019. And then, in my opinion, he made a mistake. Okay. Called me up. He says, hey, I want to sell the property and I said, why do you want to sell the property? He says, well, we want to buy property number 4. And I said, why do you want to buy property number 4? Can you guess why he wanted to buy property number 4?
His best friend moved.
That's a good one. No.
His mom lived across the street.
His mom lived across the street. Well, he bought property number 4. This was the first time that it was like a vanity buy because his wife wanted a new home. His wife wanted a new home, and it was brand new construction that they're building in down the street. And he called me up. He says, hey, my wife says she wants to live in a brand new home that's never been lived in. And so I got to do it. Whatever my wife says, we're going to do. I go, I agree. Right. So the only argument between him and I was I told him to keep the property, rent it out, just like he did the first 2. But he didn't want to. He didn't want to own real estate. That's his whole thing. Like, he's like, no, I don't want, I don't want to be owning all this real estate. With that being said, we put this property on the market, and then we sold it, and he did walk away with a profit. He bought it in 2019. 2 years later, he sold it. He made $162,000 profit. And then he bought property number 4, brand new construction. This one, he had to put a bigger down payment. He had to put 10% down. And that was 10% down, $63,000. But again, he sold property number 3. So now he has a brand new house for him and his wife and his family. He bought it for $629,000, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, $1,676. Again, the entire time he's not thinking this is an investment or, wow, I'm paying so much for a brand new home or nothing during that time. Like, he was just, again, motivated by anything other than growing wealth.
And he's on. The guest of honor is on.
And we have him on. So we're going to interview him in a bit. But again, now the value of this property is $825. Bought it for $629. He has about $260,000 in equity. And he bought this one with property number 3. All right, so we have him on. Omar, welcome. So first and foremost, I shared your story. I'm gonna go back a couple of properties. How you bought property number 1 because you started a family and you didn't want to rent anymore, right? And it was just necessity. You put 3.5% down, not a lot of money, and
yeah, it was cheaper than renting. My rent was $400 or $500 more than my mortgage when I bought that house. My mortgage was $1,200 and change, and my rent at that time was like $1,600 and change for a smaller 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 1 spot. You know what I mean?
right. So it didn't make sense, right? So you bought, and then the second one you bought because your family was growing, and you're just like, all right, I need a bigger place, and you bought property number 2. Property number 3, your best friend lived across the street, right? So you said, hey, I want to live next to my best friend. And then property number 4, your wife wanted a brand new home, right? So I already walked them through everything. Now, quick question for you. If you had to do it all over again, would you still sell this property or would you keep it?
Well, this specific property, yes, because it was a money pit. Like, I just literally put lipstick on a pig and was like, oh, it had so much work. I put in almost 20 grand when I walked in, and it needed another 20, 30, or 40,000. It had a pool. I ran away from it.
Right.
If I had to,
What was that?
I just needed a lot of maintenance. The maintenance was way too much for me at the time. Now I think I can handle it, but a couple of years ago, I couldn't. It was better for me to just, it was so high too. We purchased the house not that high, and there was, almost 7.5 that we sold it, 725, or what did you get? You know what I mean? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a good price. Now, the other thing is, you never went into this thing thinking, I want to be a real estate investor and I want to own all these properties and become rich, right? It was just more life events that caused you just to buy stuff.
Yeah, we just fell into it. I mean, every time I was gonna buy a new house or I was gonna do something, I'd call you and be like, "Hey, what do you think?
Yeah,
Should I sell it? No, don't sell it, Omar.
yeah, exactly.
You
So,
sure?"
all right, so now I don't know if you've seen these numbers. I don't think you haven't, but I'm gonna share with everybody your updated numbers here. So this year, right now, congratulations, your total equity is 947,000 between the 3 properties you own.
Wow.
I haven't even added in the $162,000 profit that you made from the sale of property number 3 on Angeles. But if you add that 162,000, you're already total equity is over $1 million, right?
Yeah.
So unless you've spent that money, you're probably a millionaire now. Congratulations. And if you remember at our workshop that we had when you first found out that you were going to be a millionaire, right? Based on like these properties that you own, I had projected that you're going to be a millionaire like by year 2033 or something. Remember?
Yeah.
But the market went up so fast that you just, hit that number a lot faster. Now,
No.
if you were to trade all your equity right now at 947,000 and you traded it for an investment at 5% return, you could make right now $47,000 a month. A year. Sorry, 47,000 a year, and that's like a safe amount that you could be making. That's about $4,000 a month. Now, if you cash out today, if you hold on to it for another 28 years when you pay off all your mortgages, right? Because you got 30-year mortgages, you would have, if money doubles I didn't even do every 10 years. Money doubles every 10 years. I just did every 15 years. If money doubles every 15 years, you would have about $3.788 million. And if you cashed out and you made, like, you rented everything out, or if you just put it into stock market, you could easily earn $189,000 a year in income. So 189,400 divided by 12 months. So that's 15,700 a month. So that's your trajectory if things are slow. If things are slow, your net worth's 3.7 million. You're earning $15,000 a month if things are slow. That's pretty cool, right? Omar, did we lose you? Okay. Might have lost him.
He
All right.
fainted.
What was that?
He fainted.
He fainted. Turn off the phone. He's like, I don't want people to know how I look. So yeah, so that's his numbers, believe it or not. That's pretty wild just to think, right? So the reason why I like to share Omar, the plumber's scenario with you guys is just to show that anyone could do it. Having an ordinary trade job, an electrician, a plumber, a roofer, you work for the city of San Diego. I mean, anyone could really do it, right? That's pretty cool to know that you don't have to start off as a millionaire to become a millionaire. All right. Now, that's the plumber situation. Now let's go ahead and talk about how to build a team around you. One important thing when you're building wealth is you got to have good people around. You got to have a good lender. Okay. Without a good lender, good luck building wealth, right? Someone like Alfonso that's on the call today. He is the person that could tell you, hey, this is how much you could qualify for. And once you're able to qualify for something, then you just have to take advantage. You have to get yourself a real estate loan. You need a good accountant. You get a good financial advisor, a good trust attorney, a good real estate attorney, a good bookkeeper, and a good mentor coach, good insurance person, good realtor, really good realtor. So by the way, guys, you don't need all of these all at once. You can start off with a really good realtor that's going to introduce you to a really good lender. You start off just with 2 people, and then over time, as you get more money, then you start adding more people into it. You know, your accountant, your trust attorney, your real estate attorney, your bookkeeper. But for now, all you need is a good realtor and a good lender. By the way, at any point in time, you guys could ask me questions. Must have characteristics of your team members. They got to answer, return your call within 24 hours. You don't want somebody on your team that doesn't call, doesn't pick up, doesn't return your calls in 24 hours. They have to have a track.
Sorry, I'm back.
You're back, Omar? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I don't. My phone.
It's
Back,
kind of
sorry.
shaky. It's kind of shaky. Your Wi-Fi, I think. Your Wi-Fi service. Well, before we let you go, Omar, I just wanted to get your reaction on what you think about the numbers I showed you. You know, 15,000 a month, $3.7 million if things are slow. Just by owning real estate. What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty crazy. You know, it's like we the plan was for 10 years down the line, and we're here in half the time. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, you're already there, man. So you know, I know you never planned this, or even, you know, as you picked up more properties, you start to kind of see the value and maybe you know, making moves. But what's your next move, do you think? Do you think are you trying to continue to build, or you just want to just kind of chill?
I like a vacation home. I like a vacation home. Me and Nana talked about before 2020, before the new house, we had talked about Big Bear, Arrowhead, places like that, because they're kind of affordable. You know, you could still get a little log cabin for $400,000-$500,000. You know, that's affordable. You know, like something near the lake. You know, something near the the snow or the season, something like that, or even Mexico. I heard Tulum had like a lot of Airbnb. Like people are making money off that. Yeah, just something like that. I don't know. Maybe in 5 years, look for a bigger house, because my house isn't that big. You know, when the kids get bigger, you know, I got 5 and 3. When they're 10 and 6, I might think differently, or 15 and 12. They're gonna need more room.
Yeah, for real. Well, cool, man. Well, hey, thanks for allowing me to share your story, your journey, and congratulations. And yeah, man, keep going, man. You're doing awesome.
I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, for sure, man. I'll see you. Cool. Thanks for jumping on. All right, so they got to answer your calls, guy, your team. They got to have a must-can-do attitude. You got to have somebody with a track record of wanting to build their portfolio. So somebody who actually believes in real estate. Why do I say that? Because I've had people on my team who didn't believe in real estate, and they held me back. They really did. I regret them being on my team. And they must be willing to share openly. They have to love education, and they must want you to win. Okay, so take a photo of that, because that's important. That's everyone around you that you want, not just your team. All right, step 3 is the finances. You have to, in order to be loanable, in order for somebody like a lender like Alfonso Delgadillo to say, I'll give you a loan, we need you to have as little debt as possible, no debt. I want you guys to save 25% or more of everything that you make and put it in a savings account. I want you guys to create a personal budget and stick to it, right? If you write down, Dave Ramsey has a really good book. We have that class twice a year, how to budget your way to $1 million. And you need to be focused with a budget to be financeable for the bank to give you a loan. Carry 2 credit cards max. You know, don't carry 3 or 4 or 5. You already have them, okay. You know, might make sense to just keep them and not tear them up, but or never close out an account, but that's what you should have. And then you should, if you're a business owner, 4 bank accounts. If you're a regular individual without a business and you're W-2, just have two bank accounts. Your checking, your savings. That's it. That's all you need. You're a business owner, you need a couple more. All right. 4, your income. So by the way, FYI, income is the biggest setback for buyers when it comes to qualifying for a loan. So most buyers don't make enough to qualify for a loan. Good news, you don't have to earn a lot of money to play Monopoly. As long as you net around 150,000 annually, you're in a good position to purchase a duplex in San Diego and earn your first million in assets. And actually, Alfonso, I don't know if this is still accurate. I wrote this maybe in a time when rates were a little bit lower. But what would you say somebody would have to net in San Diego to buy, let's say, a duplex or a house with a little garage to turn into an ADU? Did we lose Alfonso? Is he on?
He's muted.
He's muted. Is he trying to talk?
Yeah.
Carlos
Okay, here
asked,
we go.
do you have a trusted attorney you recommend? I do. I do have a trusted attorney that I recommend. If you want to shoot me a text or send a message to John, and then we'll get you that information.
Can you
Go
hear me?
ahead, Alfonso.
Yeah, so you're accurate. You're spot on, Voltaire. I mean, the good thing about this, as some of you may not know, is whenever you're buying like a multi-unit, like duplex, stuff like that, you can use the other rental income to help qualify. So yeah, about 150, you can buy yourself a first $1 million duplex asset. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So these numbers still work. So it's not a lot of money. So just think of it, everyone listening. If it's 2 income households, each person needs to earn $75,000 net.
Yeah. And there's no limit, Voltaire. People need to know, like, we can put multiple people on the application. So sometimes it's like mom, dad, and children, or mom, dad, and a brother or a sister helping them co-sign. So we can put multiple people to come up with the total net income required to qualify.
Perfect. That's thanks for mentioning that. So even if you have 4 people, 5 people on the loan, and you guys make a total of $200,000 net, that's awesome. The more the merrier. So thanks for answering that question. So again, you need good income, good enough. I mean, not crazy, but good. And then very little debt. And then someone like Alfonso will give you a loan. Number 5, mailbox money. So you guys all heard of mailbox money before. There's some fallacies. How do you earn with money fallacies? People say, just work harder, or I need to double my income, or it's too late for me to buy. I should have bought in 2008. Reality is you must live below your means. You must have patience. You must reinvest your income, and your money must have money babies, meaning you have to double your money. By the way, Omar, the guy that just jumped on, he lives way below his means. I've never seen him with any designer stuff. He plays basketball. He wears like the Shaqs from Kmart, $20 shoes. They fall apart in the middle of the court. It's not that bad, but you get my point. He's not a high maintenance type of person, and neither is his wife. They're good with their money. So here's the monopoly hierarchy. If you barely qualify, you buy yourself a condo. After you buy yourself a condo, you buy yourself a single family home. After a single family home, maybe a multifamily. And then after a multifamily, commercial property. And you just keep building bigger and bigger. And that's what gives you ultimately mailbox money down the road. And FYI, it doesn't happen overnight. Mailbox money takes years to build, because at first it's going to be like $100 a month, $200 a month. You can't really do much with that money. 300, 400, and then it doubles 800, and 1600, and then 3200, and it just goes up and up and up. And then once you start getting up and up and up, 5,000, 10,000 a month, that's when it can start paying for your lifestyle. That's when it can pay for your family vacations. That's when it can pay for your car note, your food, your groceries, all that. All right, so this is my first million, and this is why I invest in real estate. So there's 6 reasons why you should own real estate. Number 1 is rent. Everybody knows that. Number 2 is appreciation. That's the value of the asset as values go up. And then you have inflation. What's been happening these last 3 years is inflation. Everything is more expensive because the cost of goods and services is going up. Then you have the principal pay down. That's the monthly pay down. Every time you make a payment or your tenants make a payment on one of your properties, you owe less money on that loan and less money month after month. Then you have interest deductions, and then you have depreciation. Depreciation is pretty cool because depreciation allows me not to pay any federal taxes, right? So the last couple of years, been blessed. I have enough depreciation where I don't pay any federal taxes to the IRS, even though I make good money. All right. So the second reason why I buy real estate is OPM, other people's money / leverage. So if you want to purchase $1,000, $1 million in stock, you need $1 million in cash. If you want to buy $1 million in real estate, all you need is 3.5% down or $35,000. You know, years back, Alfonso helped me buy a triplex, and back then the price was $805,000, and all he required me to come in with is 3.5% down. So I bought a triplex for about $30,000, which was an amazing deal. Whereas if I wanted to buy stock, $805,000 worth of stock, I would have to come in with $805,000. So that's leveraging other people's money, the bank's money. Reason number 3, recycle your down payment. So kind of like you saw, this is important, guys. What does recycling your down payment mean? You guys saw Omar, the plumber. Property number 2, where did he use that money to buy property number 2? Where did that come from? Anybody?
Equity
Equity from what?
from his first home.
From his first home. So he pulled money from his first home to buy a second home. Property number 3, where did he get that money from, John?
Same, refinance.
Yeah, he got it from property number, because remember, property number 1, he took out 50K, and then he'd use 15,000 property number 2, and then he used like 25,000 or something like that for property number 3 from the same 50,000. So that's what I call recycling your money over and over and over. So he didn't have to go save in his checking account $50,000. No, he just pulled it from property number 1. He bought property number 2, and then he had enough left over for property number 3. And you're correct, Carlos. He used that same money over and over. That's the beauty about that. Now, this is why I like buying real estate, for these reasons here. All right, so here's my first million. This kind of how, and by the way, I want to differentiate myself with Omar the plumber really quick. Because if you recall, Omar the plumber was buying out of necessity. Omar the plumber was like, you know, I'm renting right now with my family. I'd rather own. My best friend lives across the street. My wife needs a brand new home. So he did it the smart way, meaning he did it without knowing, but he did it with little down payments, 3.5% down, 5% down, 3.5% down. Like, that's genius if you know how return on investment works. And that's the way that if I had to do it all over again, me personally, that's the way I would start. But I messed up. I didn't learn till later in life, okay? So this is my first investment property that I bought. And it happened to be an investment property. It wasn't a regular property where I lived in. So I bought this property in El Cajon, 996 square feet, 3-bedroom for $200K. Back then it was worth about $270, I think, $250. But there was a bad tenant on there that didn't want to move out. The property was damaged. The owner was just like, didn't want to deal with the tenant. So I said, I'll deal with the tenant. So with this property, I bought it for $200, and I put $50,000 down. That's 25% down. Now, is that more than what that 50,000, by the way, that's less, that's more money than the plumber paid for his first 2 properties combined. On his first property, he put $7,800 down, and the second one he put like 5,000 or something down. Like, he did it the smart way. Me, I wasn't so smart. I had to save 50,000 in a checking account, savings account, month after month, saving money. So anyways, going back to the situation, I purchased it in the summer 2014. I refinanced a year later. I pulled out $70,000 in cash. So what did I do here? I recycled my money. I got my 50,000 back plus 20. And then I bought property number 2 with this money. Okay. So I took money from property number 1 and I bought property number 2 on Irving Avenue in Logan, and I bought it for $230. Again, it had a bunch of foundation work. It was just it had fire damage. It was in a fire. So anyways, I bought it for $230, 20% down. So this time I bought it with 20% down. Again, not the best way to buy, because I'm putting big down payments compared to Omar the plumber put little down payments. So anyways, I bought this in the summer of 2015 with money from property number 1. And then a year later, 2016, I refinanced it and I pulled out 125,000 cash. And with that 125 cash, I bought property number 3. Property number 3, same thing. There's tenants in there that didn't want to move out. There's roaches. It was a pretty beat up property in the hood. I bought it for $239 from an attorney who owned it for many years. Down payment $47,800. That's 20% down. And I used money from property number 2 to buy this one. Purchased it summer 2016, and this one I used it. So I pulled money out of this one to buy property number 4. Property number 4 is this property. So I pulled money and I bought property number 4. This one was a complete dump. It was falling apart, a small little 2,000 square foot lot, but I bought it for 120 plus 100,000 in rehab. So I was in it for 220. And I bought it using collateral I put up 2 properties. I put up property number 2 and property number 3 as collateral with the bank to borrow the money to buy this place. Okay. So what happened? All right. Well, what happens next is I buy property number 5. How? Well, I traded it. When I say trade, I traded property number 1 for this 4-plex. So you remember property number 1 is a single family home in El Cajon, and then I traded it into property number 5. So I sold this one and I did something called 1031 exchange. So I traded one house for a 4-plex in Logan. And I bought this 4-plex in Logan in the year of 2017. I don't have it on here, but it was 2017. And I just basically traded house number 1 for this. Each unit was 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Each rent on this one was $1,500 each unit times 4 units, $6,000 when I first bought it after I fixed it up. Now that property rents for over $8,000 total a month. So the reason why I traded property number 1 for property number 5, guys, is because the rent on property number 1 was $1,795, which was awesome, but then I traded it for $6,000 a month. So I prefer this one. I spent about $150 to rehab it. The current equity on this property is $740 or more, $740,000 or more. I don't know when is the last time I did this report, but let's talk about property number 6. Property number 6 I bought because I traded property number 3 for. So if you recall, property number 3 was this one that had cockroaches and, so I ended up selling this property and I made $300,000. I put that 300 or traded it into property number 6 through a 1031 exchange. So property number 6 is 5-unit building in Chula Vista with it was 4 2-bedrooms and a studio. I bought it for 1.1 million. So this was my first $1 million purchase or more. It was this property. I put down 25% down, which was 275. Remember, property number 3 gave me 300,000. So I put down payment and 25,000 for closing costs or something like that. under market rent, $6,700 a month. This property right now gives me more money. Eli, are you on here? How much does this property give me right now? But back then, property number 3 was giving me $1,800 a month for rent, and then it went to $6,700 a month for rent. Total equity in this deal, I have over $600,000. So now, as you see, I'm getting more and more equity the bigger I go. Eli, were you able to check? And if he doesn't tell me, it's somewhere close to, it's over 8,000 for sure. It's like 8,500 maybe.
Right now you're at 75.61.
75.61, barely. Oh, man, I need to analyze that property. It's way under rented. All right. So, 9 years later, well, 8 years later, when this was wrote, so I bought my first billboard property. So this billboard here, I own it, along with the commercial underneath that has 9 units and 4 garages. Which those 4 garages I'm going to convert to 2 units. I'm going to have 11 units here. Plus, in the future, I'm going to build some more units. So here's a quick overview on the right side. I invested $50,000 in 2014. I used or leveraged loans to purchase good properties at under market values. I kept refinancing my cash out of those properties in order to buy more. And that original $50,000 turned into approximately $2.9 million in equity. And guess what? With other cash funds that I saved, other 20% downs that I saved during that time, I repeated this process with other properties as well. So what I want you guys all to picture is I want you guys to picture a stream of income downstream. So that one started at 50,000 and it went down to 2.9 million. Okay. And then I have another one that's similar, right? Where I started off at somewhere in that range and it went down to, $2-3 million. And then I have another stream of income. I copied Omar. I learned from my client, the plumber, and I said, hey, he bought a stream of income with 3.5% down payment. How come I'm not doing that? And that's when I clicked and I decided to buy my first primary residence, which Alfonso helped me with. Again, it was a triplex, 3.5% down. And I started another stream of income with a 3.5% down, payment. So the goal, guys, is for you guys to start your first stream of income with your primary residence. In a perfect world, buy yourself a duplex. If not, a house, if not a condo. But start your first stream of income, your downline. And then as you buy your primary residence, you move into it, you live in it. Then save enough money for an investment property, 20% down. You start your second stream of income. And you keep playing Monopoly and building that stream of income. Okay.
Quick question on the chat.
Yes.
George is asking if a condo is the same as a townhouse.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference is a condo typically, you're going to get different answers depending on who you ask, but a condo typically is like kind of like more associated with an apartment where you have a neighbor on the sides, above you and below you. A townhouse, typically you only have neighbors on the side. No one above you or below you. But either way, they both have HOAs. And if that's what you could afford, they're better than renting and they're good investment. Good question. Thank you for that. All right. The next one is, I don't know if we're going to have time for this, but how to identify deals using quick rules of thumb. No, we don't have time for this, but hold on a second. All right. So if you buy an investment property, I'm going to give you some golden rules never to break. Okay. Dues on the left side. Always buy based on the tenants paying all of your monthly property expenses. 2, run numbers using several of the above rules of thumb, which your realtor can help you. So just reach out to your realtor. We can tell you whether it's a good deal. 3, always bring all inspectors to the property. Your home inspector, your plumber, your roofer, your termite, your contractor. I learned a big lesson by not doing this. The first property I could have bought, well, I did buy in 2010. It was a 4-plex, and I messed up. I didn't bring all my inspectors. And if I did, I would have realized that it was a bad deal and I shouldn't have bought it. However, I bought it. After I got the property, I realized it wasn't a good deal. I lost a lot of money on it. And then guess what happens when you fail? Well, what happens when I failed? I let it affect me, and it got to me, and I got scared again. I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna buy real estate again. That was a bad move, right? And I lost some time there. I lost a couple of years because I was like in my feelings and shit. So, all because I broke protocol and I didn't bring all the inspectors to the property to check the property, okay? The next rule of thumb is trade properties via 1031 exchange when equity permits. Generally, you could trade your properties and double your doors every 7 years. So I don't care how emotionally attached you are to a property. If it's time to trade it for a bigger property, you trade it. You don't think twice. All right, your don'ts. Never buy based solely on speculation. Never buy just because, there's equity in the property. Okay. 2, never use hard money or you think properties are going to go up. Never buy because of that. 2, never use hard money unless it's a steal. So use regular financing, meaning someone like Alfonso Delgadillo, you call him up, he gives you a regular loan, charges you market interest rate, okay? 3, never flip your real estate. You make way more money long-term holding your property. And last rule is never evaluate deals based on Airbnb rents. It's got to pencil out as a regular rental. All right, last thing we're going to cover is what's your number? How much monthly cash do you need to retire? For example, let's say that you need $10,000 a month to live comfortably for the rest of your life. How do you figure out this formula? So if you guys are at home, you guys got to write down all your expenses, your total mortgage, your car payment, your going out expenses, basically what's on a budget, medical. That's your monthly nut. So let's pretend that it's $10,000 a month and that's going out, that's going on vacation, right? So it might be a little bit more. But let's just pretend your number is $10,000. You multiply that by 12 months, that's 120,000 annually. You could easily get 5% return on your money right now somewhere. So this is the formula that I want you to do. I want you to take the annual income that you need, 120,000, divided by 5%. Throw that into your calculator. That's going to give you your number. In this case, your number is $2.4 million. So the goal should be save 2.4 million cash or equity in order to generate $10,000 a month of monthly income. So just to give you some perspective, I just told Omar the plumber that he's going to have how much money be worth how much in 30 years from now or 28 years from now, 2053? You guys remember?
3.7 mil.
3.7 mil. So 3.7 mil, that's how much he could basically convert into a monthly income. So if I do the math and I just do it backwards, 3.7 mil, and I multiply it by 5%, 0.05, that's the number that I told him, $185,000 a year in income that he should expect to have. You divide that by 12 months, that's 15,400. So you need to figure out your number. So, Carlos, we have a good investor in here that owns properties out of state. His number was 3 million. He hit it. So once you have your equity number, then at that point, you could go ahead and, if you wanted to, not work, right? Because that money's coming in. Comfort kills, don't be scared, right? If you aren't investing in real estate, you're too comfortable. If you have a good thing going on with a rental or two and don't want to rock the boat, you're too comfortable, right? So William Burroughs said, when you stop growing, you start dying. So you just got to ask yourself the question, are you too comfortable? You know, if you are, then, you know, you're not going to grow, aka you're going to start dying, right? You start dying when you're comfortable. So just wanted to show you guys my projections for my properties. I own 51 doors right now. I'm adding another 29 doors through ADUs right now. 7 years from now, I'm going to trade the 80 doors into 160. 7 years later, I'm going to trade 160 to 320. 7 years after that, 320 to 640. And then 7 years after that, I'm going to trade 640 apartment doors into 1,280 doors. So the goal is 1,280 doors by the age of 67. The average door in San Diego today is worth about 300,000. So my guess is 24 years from now, that number should at least double, right? Being conservative. So 24 years from now, each door is gonna be worth 600,000 a door. So 1,280 doors times 600,000, that's $768 million in gross value. So that's what the numbers say. And you guys could do that same thing here as well. All right. Lastly, centimillionaire advice. I asked a client, a mentor of mine who has $1.2 billion in real estate portfolio, what his advice was for people who want to be financially free. So this was his advice, someone who has a lot of money. Read. And when he sent me this, I thought he messed up. I thought he didn't like finish the text. And I go, read what? Like, what are you talking about? But he was like, no, just read. His point being that you can really get whatever you want out of life if you just read, educate yourself. That's what he meant. So you're on this workshop, you're educating yourself. That's really all you need to do is continue to educate and then obviously take action, right? He didn't say that part, but read and take action. That's, I'm going to add to that. All right. Here's a couple books that are good. Automatic Millionaire, I like that one. Total Money Makeover, if you need help with your finances, that's a good one. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad. Those are 3 awesome books. And again, here is the full calendar for the year for our workshops. Just scan here. And that way you can get alerted whenever we have new ones. And leave us a review. You know, if you learned something today, please help us out. You know, get our name out there. Whoever referred you, mention their name and say, you know, our realtor, Gio, you know, asked us to come to this workshop. It was awesome, learned a lot. It helps us a lot. So I appreciate you guys. Before we let you guys go, is there any questions that you have in regards to playing Monopoly?
There's 2 on the chat. George asked earlier, why 5% are we accounting for inflation?
Yeah, 5% is just a number that you could get anywhere. You could go to a US Treasury right now, make 5%, earn 5% interest. What's up, George? You could go to, you could earn 5% on any investment property, aka a cap rate. So 5% doesn't count inflation because we don't need to count it. We just know that you earn 5% on your money right now, anywhere, basically. That's the safe rate. If you go more aggressive, you could earn a little bit more. Great question. Thank you for that. And then go ahead.
Erica asked, typically how many years does it take to go from your first property to your second property by just refinancing?
Okay, look at the safe answer is 7 years. That's my answer, safe number. What about you, Alfonso? What do you say? Can't hear you.
I would say seven years.
Okay, 7 years. All right. And by the way, you're gonna know somebody who did it faster. Why? Because the last few years, everyone's been doing it faster. 1 year, 2 years, they refinance, they pull all this money out, they buy another home. Like, that isn't typical. 7 years is typical. Great question. Thank you for asking. All right.
One more question. Carlos asks, with rates right now, are you still able to make cash flow with investing here in San Diego?
Good question. It's tough, but you could do it. You know, I saw a triplex, was it like 2 months ago or something? That made sense. It was 3 units, 3 little cottages. Well, 2 cottages in the back, 2-bedroom, 1 bath each, and then the front house was like 3-bedroom, rented for $3,000 a month in Logan. That was a great property, and it did cash flow, which is again rare in San Diego, but you can do it. A lot of times, what I've seen is just people just build equity. They build the cash flow into it by building an ADU or something like that. So to answer your question, Carlos, in San Diego, it's possible, but it's rare. Now I'll go further on that question, Carlos. The reason why I still invest in San Diego and I'm not buying is because I'm playing the equity game. As long as properties pay for themselves, for me, I'm okay. When I first buy the property, I'm like, okay, pays for itself, I'm good. Over time, rents go up. Over time, the tenants pay down the principal. So when don't want to work that much harder, Carlos, I'm gonna have a ton of equity in all these properties. And then with that equity, then I could trade for properties in Texas, Florida, other states that's going to produce a higher cash flow. So since I'm still young enough where I have a lot of energy and I still want to work, I still want to grind, I still want to make a living through being a realtor and have a regular job, I don't need the cash flow from the properties. As long as the equity's there and it's growing, that's all I care about. So if the real estate market goes up, Carlos, 10% in 1 year, and I have a $20 million portfolio in San Diego, 10% on 20 million, that's $2 million in equity that I would earn, right? And now, if I had a smaller portfolio, or if the appreciation was lower, like if I owned a property in Montana and appreciation wasn't 10%, it was only 1% or even or something like that, but it cash flow very well, that's cool, but I don't want that yet. I want that when I'm in my 60s, 70s, when I don't want to work that hard. Then I'll transfer all my equity in San Diego that's been earning over the years to out-of-state investments. Great question, by the way. Thank you.
One more question. Are all your doors here in San Diego, or do you go out of state? By Luis. Luis is asking.
Yeah, everything's in San Diego. I believe in San Diego. I love San Diego. I think people are going to continue to want to live here. I know it well. I can make better decisions since I know it well. Again, I'm playing the appreciation game. And a lot of people think it's because it's expensive in San Diego, it's impossible, but it's not. It's not. And people on this call own property in San Diego. I know them, and they make a lot of money on their properties. Any final thoughts or questions or comments?
I would like to throw something on there. I mean, I think you said something super important. Always max out your pre-approval. Like, nothing good comes out of fear, right? Out of the comfort. Nothing good comes out of the comfort zone. So if a bank's telling you qualify for 500,000, leverage the 500,000 minimum down payment, maximize the pre-approval. Why? Your income will only grow. The more you buy, the bigger you buy. If something appreciates at 500,000, 5%, that's 25,000. If you buy something for 3,000 and it appreciates at 75%, that's only 15,000. It's still going to appreciate, but always maximize your approval. The banks are in business to lend you guys money. If we tell you, the bank tells you you qualify, it may be uncomfortable, but you qualify. We just got to pivot, make some changes on our personal finances, like Rotel was saying. He's really good with his budget. He looks at that money every single month. That's something that we can teach you how to do as well. So obviously that's another class, but my final thoughts is always maximize other people's money.
Yeah, I agree. Great final thought. We have a question by Guillermo. Go ahead. Unmute yourself, Guillermo.
Hey, brother. Thank you very much. I'm driving, so I couldn't text anything. But I wanted to get your thoughts. So, you know that I bought, a couple of years ago in Riverside County, but where do you see the market heading, in areas outside of San Diego County, whether it's the Inland Empire, Orange County, etc.
Yeah, great question. Claudia, John, I know you guys have been working that area lately. What do you guys see with values over there? What do you guys think is going to happen?
I think the easiest way to look at it is look at Temecula. Look at Temecula 10 years ago, and then look at Temecula now. Temecula's got San Diego prices.
Yeah.
The outer cities, San Jacinto, Hemet, same thing. In the last few months, we've seen increases in prices. We're seeing more San Diegans move out there. So I think it's a good investment out there. And you're getting it at the right time, in my opinion.
Yeah, same. I agree with John. Plus, that location is like midpoint to LA and San Diego, two big cities. After COVID, a lot of that LA crowd wanted yards, space. So that's what is pushing those prices up.
Yeah,
All
good,
right,
good comments there. Yeah, and I would just want to add that because I'm the oldest in the group. In 2004 and 5, a lot of my friends and clients wanted to go to Temecula because of the prices. And I remember the biggest hurdle was just driving, being in traffic for an hour each way or whatever it was back then. And I can't believe where the prices are now. I just can't believe it. I remember back then I was, newer, and I was just like, well, I don't know, man. To me, it's a mistake, but time proved me wrong. Prices just kept going up. They built out that city very nicely. It's big. People want to be up there. People want to be up there. So that's my opinion. I know, Alfonso, you worked a lot back then too, 2005, 6 and all that. What's your opinion on outside areas like that?
I mean, you should know the numbers, but I mean, they're like, once again, we're talking about real estate here, guys. We're talking about monopoly, right? Like legit. It's anywhere you can buy that you can live there, occupy or invest. It's a good market. I mean, San Diego is just that special market, right? Like San Diego, Orange County, LA, San Francisco. These are high demand cities, but properties appreciate no matter what. But it just depends what your long-term goal is. And that's something that one of our Lepe Tendwell property realtors can sit down with and help you educate in the right path. But once again, I mean, real estate will always go up. You only lose on real estate when you're forced to sell and the market is down, right? But if you're able to make that payment or rent it out or do something, like Voltaire says, he's playing the equity game, right? And that's what we should all be working. Unfortunately, years ago, I'm talking 10, 12 years ago, people were paying the ATM game. Oh, my property went up 100 grand. Let me cash out money, pay off debt, or buy a boat or buy a car. That's not what real estate's for. This is a long-term game. So my thoughts is, if you're gonna live there, you're gonna move there, buy it. If you're gonna invest, look at it more closely. And one of our Lepe Tendwell realtors can definitely educate you on that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. And then last question. Do you put your investment properties into LLC or trust? Great question. Depends how many properties you own, but I've always owned all my properties in a trust, but very heavily insured. So that's the main thing. You want to be heavily insured. There is going to be a point, George, where you have to put them into an LLC, right? But most people will never hit that point. Simple as that. Most people will never hit that point. It's just up until recently where I had to start creating LLCs because of my net worth being where it is so high. But trust me, most people never get there. So your first several properties, trust is okay, but ask your attorney about it. Last question. I have about 6 real estate properties in the United States and my DTI is too high. If I form an LLC and move all these properties away from my name, will it help my DTI? Alfonso.
Repeat that one question one more time. I have 6.
I have about 6 properties in the United States and my DTI is too high. If I form an LLC and move all those properties away from my name, will it help my DTI?
No. Whenever you have an LLC, typically you're declaring that income anyways, a rental income or whatever, and it rolls over to your personal tax return. So the banks will see that. Let's say they don't see it because we don't show that on paper. it's still under the LLC, still tracks your name. At one point it was, there's enough systems that banks have available, they'll find out you own that property. So, yes, it could still potentially hit your DTI for sure, because you own the LLC. The LLC is just a fictitious entity, right, that you own. So, yes.
Cool, perfect. Is it better to purchase condos or SFRs? In my opinion, SFRs. But one of my biggest clients, really smart guy, worth over 100 million easy. He bought in San Diego nothing but condos for many years. Now I bring him houses, I bring him duplexes. He didn't want them. All he wanted was condos, and he built a portfolio of about 450 condos here in San Diego. And then just a few years ago, he called me up. He says, "Hey, I need to start selling some of these condos." And then he went into apartment buildings. But to answer your question, I never really believed in condos being better than SFRs, but that was his game, and he made a lot more money than me. So good question. All right. Well, hey, thanks for your time. Thanks for participating. I hope you guys learned a lot. Please rate us online. Go out to our Yelps, Googles, and Zillows. If you have any questions, reach out to your favorite Lepe Tendwell real estate agent, and we will talk soon. Peace out, guys.
Thank you.